What's some advice for people who are not in their 20s or 30s, but 40 years or older who are trying to lose weight? It's definitely not as easy as when you were younger. Absolutely. So if somebody were to come to me and say, Darian, what is your advice for me? I'm 40 years old, I want to get fit. I know it's not as easy as when I'm in my 20s. I would say absolutely. And I would break up the advice into 4 different categories. The first one is going to be training. How would you train in your 40s? The second one is going to be nutrition. How are you going to eat differently? The third one is going to be your recovery. And the fourth one is going to be supplementation. Let's cover all those. So the first one's going to be training. Now, I would say for somebody who's just getting into strength training is building that foundation. It's starting with the basic lifts, your squats, deadlifts, lunges, chest and shoulder presses, and rows, both horizontal and vertical. Your goal when you get into the gym and you're lifting weights is focusing on proper technique and proper form, because at that age, you're much more susceptible to getting injuries. So things like behind the head presses, right? Doing side laterals completely out to the side as opposed to 45 degrees in front of you. These things could wreak havoc on your shoulders. When you're doing squats, making sure that your hips are going back and you're not pushing your knees forward. Making sure when you're doing lunges that your heel isn't coming off the ground. All of these things are going to be very, very important to building a solid foundation, to build that lean muscle. Now, number 2 is going to be nutrition. And this one, you don't want to hear it, but it's the most important one that you can follow. It's the most important one to follow if you're in your 20s, if you're 18, 19, 20. It's even more important as somebody who is in their 40s and 50s because you have things working against you. You got to understand your metabolism is slowed down, so you can't just eat whatever you want. You can't just eat well some of the time and then mess up on the weekends. It's not going to work. Your body is waiting for you to slip up so it can pack on the pounds. So even though you're not able to train super hard in the gym, you could definitely train your nutrition habits, okay? Eating very minimally processed foods, eating plenty of fruits and vegetables, drinking a ton of water, and keeping the processed junk to a minimum. This is gonna be the key here. I see a lot of people, they start telling themselves, oh, well, my knee is messed up or my shoulder's messed up, so I can't really push hard in the gym, so what's the point? If you really want to see success and if your goal is weight loss, like you said in the first place, then nutrition is and always will be the number one thing that you need to focus on. And it's not the next fad diet. It's not jumping from keto to paleo to the carnivore diet to the South Beach diet to the breatharian diet. That's a real thing. Some people really think that they can get all their nutrients from air. It's ridiculous. So that just goes to show you that diets are diets for a reason. Smart nutrition is something you can sustain for a very long time and as long as you want, okay? It's eating the foods that you can tolerate and that you enjoy. It's not feeling like you're torturing yourself every single day, but it's definitely hard work trying to build new habits. But as somebody in their 40s and 50s, this is the most critical step for you to take because it's the most rewarding one. It's the one that's gonna make you lose the most amount of weight. The other 3 points, your training, your supplementation, and your recovery, is nowhere near as important as your nutrition. How many calories are you getting in? What is the breakdown of those calories? The thing you wanna do is look internally and say, you know what? My metabolism might be a lot slower than it was when I was younger. I can't work out as hard as these 20-year-olds who are going crazy and doing these silly Instagram exercises. So my advantage is that I'm gonna still see progress because instead of making the mistake of trying to put all of my effort onto the workouts, I'm gonna put most of my effort onto my nutrition, tracking my food, measuring out my portion so I can understand portion control, cutting out the junk food, all the basic stuff, and it's definitely beyond the scope of this video, but nutrition is gonna be the most important thing. Number 3 here is gonna be recovery. This one is so critical. Again, as somebody in their 40s and 50s, your recovery takes a little bit longer. How many people remember when they used to be able to go out all night, go to the bar, get drunk, the next day they feel perfectly fine? Now they have a glass of wine and they're down for 2 days. They need a nap. They need a ton of water. You know what I'm saying? Like your body needs more time to recover. So you need to make sure you're prioritizing that. You're not able to run on 3-4 hours of sleep in your 40s and 50s and still go to the gym and beat down your muscles and expect them to recover. Your goal is that you want to be as close to 100% recovered between your workouts as you can be. So most people work out between 30 minutes and an hour a day. The other 23 hours needs to be dedicated to recovering. that is where you're gonna see the progress from. You need to make sure you're getting your nutrition in. That's part of recovery. It helps you to refuel the muscles, helps you to refuel your body. The other thing here is prioritizing sleep, and that doesn't mean just more hours laying in bed, it's getting quality, restful sleep, okay? So turning off the electronics at night, maybe taking a bath, listening to some calming music, reading a book before bed. A really good strategy that I recommend to some of my clients is to set a reverse alarm clock. So if you know you need to get to bed at 10 p.m., set an alarm for 9 p.m. so that you know mentally, okay, I need to start winding down now. I have an hour to start doing some stretching, take a hot bath, get into my pajamas, and get to bed, right? Try your best to not have your room be entertainment and pleasure. It should be for rest and sex. That is it, okay? Treat your bed like a sanctuary. And the last one here is gonna be supplementation. There is definitely a benefit to taking certain supplements in this older age. A lot of them are gonna deal with recovery and rest. So something like a glucosamine supplement that's gonna support your joint health. You wanna definitely keep your joints healthy. I don't think that needs any explanation. Perhaps taking a sleep aid like melatonin to help promote healthy sleep. Also, another great one here is gonna be a protein supplement. Whether you're young or old, a lot of people have a hard time eating the right amount of protein for their body to see the results from it. So a supplement like a whey protein shake is a great way to be able to get that protein in very quickly. It takes 2 seconds to mix it up and drink it. And then of course, a multivitamin to fill in any of the nutrient deficiencies you might be getting from not eating every single food known to mankind. The big takeaway from this video is that even though you're in your legacy years, don't let your disadvantages be disadvantages. Let those disadvantages motivate you to focus on the things that most people neglect all along, which is nutrition and recovery, okay? Don't focus all of your effort on what you can't do in the gym. Focus on what you can do. I remember when I had my shoulder surgery, I could not work out my upper body at all for about 9 months. And the smart thing to do would have been to keep my nutrition in check so I could keep my body fat low and continue to work out my legs. But I didn't do that. Instead, I had a pity party for myself. I thought about how much it sucks that I can't use my left arm. And instead, I just ate whatever I wanted. Even though my shoulder had no impact on what I ate, I chose to eat badly. I chose to not track my food. I chose to not take my nutrition seriously because, well, I can't do everything with my shoulder, so what's the point? That's not the way that you want to think. And take it from me, because I gained over 30 pounds during that 9-month period while I was sitting out with a shoulder injury, when the entire time I could have been getting leaner. I could have been focusing on my legs. I could have been focusing on my other arm, my core strength. There's so many things I could have focused on, but instead I chose to focus on what I couldn't do and let that make me feel like a victim. At age 40 and 50, now is the best time to get into fitness and take your fitness seriously. I'm sure a lot of us sacrificed a lot of our younger years trying to build a life for ourselves and try to get our family secure and get our career set. And a lot of times we sacrificed a lot of our health along the way. A lot of sleepless nights working all these extra hours and just beating our body up and being in and out of drive-thrus and eating crappy food because you have to keep working and you're working overtime and you're commuting or you're taking care of the kids. Now is the time to put the focus back on yourself. And one thing a mentor told me is that we spend the first half of our life sacrificing our health to acquire wealth. And then we spend the second half of our life spending our wealth to get back our health. So now is a great time to invest back into yourself. Hiring a coach can make the process super simple, but if not, you can always study on your own. You can always plan the workouts. You can always do all the studying on what are the best foods, on what are the best and most optimal ways to train, and do that on your own. But the key is to start now, start with what you have, because what you have is plenty.